Hello and welcome to the first episode of our new series, Finance in History. Today, we're diving into the dramatic and often forgotten story of Nicholas Biddle, a man who, as the head of the Second Bank of the United States, became the central figure in one of the greatest financial and political battles in American history. From his privileged upbringing to his clash with a powerful president, Biddle's life is a fascinating tale of a banker's struggle to control the nation's money supply. So sit tight and get ready to meet Nicholas Biddle, the prodigy of Philadelphia. Born in 1786 into a prominent Philadelphia merchant family, Nicholas Biddle was a true prodigy. He entered the University of Pennsylvania at the astonishing age of 10 and graduated as the valedictorian at just 13. His father, James Biddle, was a successful merchant and one of the leading figures in the shipping industry. He ensured that his sons received the finest education available, recognizing their intellectual abilities from an early age. Nicholas's mother, Margaret Manning, came from a distinguished Virginia family and instilled in him a love for literature and the arts. As a child, Biddle displayed an extraordinary aptitude for languages, mastering Latin, Greek, French, and Italian. He read voraciously, devouring works of classical literature, philosophy, and history. By the time he entered the University of Pennsylvania, Biddle was already well versed in several academic disciplines, a fact that did not go unnoticed by the university's faculty and staff. At 13, after graduating from the University of Pennsylvania, Biddle began working as a clerk in his father's shipping firm. Despite his tender age, he quickly proved himself to be an invaluable asset to the company. His linguistic skills allowed him to communicate effectively with international clients, and his sharp intellect helped navigate complex financial transactions. However, Biddle's aspirations went beyond the family business. He desired a career in diplomacy, where his language, skills, and knowledge of international affairs could be put to greater use. To that end, he secured a position as the secretary to the American minister in Paris. This role provided him with first-hand exposure to the sophisticated financial systems and cultural nuances of Europe. It was here that Biddle developed his passion for banking and finance, an interest that would shape the trajectory of his life. During his time in Europe, Biddle immersed himself in the study of economics and banking. He observed the operations of the Bank of England and other European financial institutions, gaining insight into their structure and function. He read extensively on the subject, examining the theories of renowned economists and studying the historical development of banking in different countries. Upon returning to America, Biddle was eager to apply his newfound knowledge and contribute to the nation's financial system. His experience abroad, combined with his natural intelligence and work ethic, made him a sought-after figure in the field of finance. In 1811, Biddle was appointed cashier of the Second Bank of the United States, a position that marked the beginning of his rise to prominence in the banking industry. In this role, Biddle was responsible for overseeing the bank's daily operations and ensuring the accuracy of its financial records. He quickly made a name for himself as a meticulous and efficient manager, earning the trust and respect of both colleagues and superiors. His reputation grew, and in 1823, at the age of 37, he was appointed the president of the Second Bank of the United States, a position that would thrust him into the center of American politics and society. The Second Bank of the United States was established in 1816, following the First Bank's charter expiration in 1811. Its main purpose was to stabilize the nation's currency and foster economic growth. However, since its inception, the bank had been plagued by mismanagement and controversy. Many Americans viewed the bank with suspicion, seeing it as a tool of the wealthy elite rather than a public institution serving the common good. When Biddle took over as president, he inherited a bank in turmoil. Its finances were in disarray and its reputation was at an all-time low. But undeterred, he set about implementing reforms to turn the bank around. Biddle's first order of business was to address the bank's financial woes. He worked to rein in the overissuing of currency by state-chartered banks, which had contributed to the nation's economic instability. By limiting the amount of banknotes in circulation, Biddle aimed to stabilize the currency and restore confidence in the banking system. Additionally, he sought to improve the bank's profitability by reducing expenses and increasing revenue. These measures, while unpopular with some segments of the population, were necessary to restore the bank's financial health and secure its long-term viability. Furthermore, Biddle recognized the importance of building public trust and confidence in the bank. He worked to improve transparency by making financial information more accessible to the public and sought to engage with critics to better understand their concerns. While these efforts did not win over everyone, they demonstrated Biddle's commitment to serving the best interests of the nation as a whole. Despite facing opposition from various quarters, Biddle remained steadfast in his commitment to improving the bank's operations and restoring its reputation. His dedication and hard work paid off, and under his leadership, the bank became a vital cornerstone of the American economy. As the president of the Second Bank of the United States, Biddle's influence extended beyond the realm of finance. He played a significant role in promoting economic growth and development by providing loans and financial support to businesses and infrastructure projects. For example, Biddle played a key role in financing the construction of canals and railroads, which facilitated trade and transportation across the country. These investments not only boosted economic activity, but also helped connect distant markets and create new opportunities for businesses. Moreover, Biddle's support for internal improvements such as roads and bridges contributed to the nation's physical and economic development. He recognized that a well-connected and accessible country would foster commerce and help drive economic growth. By advocating for and financing such projects, Biddle helped lay the groundwork for America's future industrialization and expansion. Biddle's impact on American economic policy was profound. He was a strong advocate for sound fiscal policies and balanced budgets, believing that fiscal responsibility was essential to the nation's long-term prosperity. He worked to reduce the national debt and promote economic stability, setting the stage for future generations to enjoy the benefits of a thriving economy. Additionally, Biddle's commitment to free enterprise and limited government intervention laid the foundation for the free market capitalism that would come to define the American economic system. Yet, despite his contributions and popularity among the elite, there was a storm brewing on the horizon. Enter Andrew Jackson, a man who personified the common folk and harbored a deep distrust for bankers and centralized power. The road to conflict began with Jackson's election to the presidency in 1828. His victory was a clear indication of a growing sentiment against centralized banks and the perceived corruption of the elite class. And Biddle, as the embodiment of the financial elite, found himself squarely in the crosshairs. Jackson's opposition to the Second Bank of the United States was rooted in his belief that such an institution was unconstitutional and detrimental to the nation's well-being. He saw the bank as a symbol of elitism, arguing that it gave too much power to a small group of wealthy individuals at the expense of the average citizen. Furthermore, Jackson believed that the bank's presence distorted the free market by manipulating interest rates and controlling the money supply, leading to economic instability and inequality. He argued that such practices undermined the principles of free enterprise and hindered the nation's overall prosperity. As a result, Jackson made the destruction of the Second Bank of the United States a central tenet of his presidency, setting the stage for a monumental clash between Biddle and the president. When Biddle heard about Jackson's opposition to the Second Bank of the United States, he initially dismissed it as populist rhetoric. He believed that his bank's contributions to the nation's economic stability and growth were undeniable, and that its importance to the country would prevent any serious attempts at removal. However, as Jackson's rhetoric intensified and he began to take concrete steps to dismantle the bank, Biddle realized that he had underestimated his adversary. Determined to fight for the bank's survival, Biddle rallied support from influential figures across the country. He wrote extensively on the importance of a centralized bank, emphasizing its role in maintaining economic stability and promoting growth. He also engaged in public debates and made personal appeals to lawmakers, urging them to stand up against Jackson's misguided attacks. Despite facing intense pressure and opposition, Biddle refused to back down. He believed that his bank was essential to the nation's well-being, and that it would be a brave mistake to succumb to populist sentiment. The battle between Biddle and Jackson became increasingly personal, as each side accused the other of acting in their own interest. Jackson painted Biddle as a symbol of elitism and corruption, while Biddle portrayed Jackson as an impulsive and misguided leader who was endangering the nation's economy. The conflict culminated in Jackson's decision to veto the bank's charter renewal in 1832, marking a decisive victory for the president and a significant setback for Biddle. In the aftermath of the bank's demise, Biddle faced both personal and professional challenges. His reputation was tarnished by association with the failed bank, and he struggled to find a new role in a rapidly changing financial landscape. He attempted to revive his career by joining a new financial institution, but this venture also faced difficulties and ultimately contributed to the Panic of 1837. Although Biddle was not directly responsible for the panic, his involvement in the failed venture added to his reputation as a controversial figure in the world of finance. Nonetheless, Biddle persevered and continued to advocate for a centralized bank and sound fiscal policies throughout the remainder of his life. He wrote extensively on the subject and worked to educate the public on the importance of a stable financial system. Despite facing numerous setbacks and personal challenges, Biddle remained dedicated to his beliefs and continued to shape the discourse on banking and finance until his death in 1844. Nicholas Biddle's life and legacy are a testament to the complexities of banking and finance. His contributions to the development of a centralized banking system in the United States are undeniable. However, his controversial methods and staunch defense of elitist institutions made him a polarizing figure. The opposition he faced from Andrew Jackson led to the demise of the Second Bank of the United States and ultimately contributed to the rise of populism in American politics. Yet, Biddle's story is not solely one of controversy. His dedication to his beliefs, resilience in the face of adversity, and